All right, guys, this is almost day 3 of shooting. I'm hoping on getting a good full 2 hours of sleep tonight. Maybe 2.5. I could not sleep a wink when I got home. I was plenty tired. I've only had 8 hours of sleep in the last 48 hours, combined with my first... I had 2 hours of sleep before the first shooting day. Then I had about 2.5, I guess. And then I had about 5.5 last night. And anyway, really early call times, not used to. Butterflies in my stomach. The night before the first day of shooting, I went to a Slayer concert. It was their farewell tour, and I said, look, this movie is a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity to make something really cool that a bunch of people are helping me make, and I get to be with my friends doing it, and it's going to be great. But also, this is the last time Slayer will ever be in Utah ever. And although I'm a middling Slayer fan, I know maybe about a dozen of their songs really well. I went ahead and went, and I had a freaking blast. And also, we were really stressed out because of the pre-production and all the planning that was going into the shooting. I had written a new draft, basically, that hadn't been conformed to the schedules, and everybody wasn't quite on the right page what the schedules were, so we went over to Paige Cabanilla's house. Me and Parker Peterson are co-producing, and Paige Cabanilla is the big capital P producer. We were over there at her place, knocking that thing out, and it took us about 12 hours between 2 days, and we were exhausted from that, because it was like, all it is problem solving with the schedule stuff, and realizing what things we don't have, and how many setups each scene is estimated to have, and what are the locations? Do we have all the locations? Yada yada yada. And we still had a part and a half to cast, so we were kind of like at a 9.0. But the Slayer concert, for me, unfortunately, my friends were not able to partake in this, or chose not to, at least. Not everybody's a heavy metal guy. I get it, guy or gal. But I got to have like a good, stress-free night. Once the concert kind of started going, I was in, and all I was thinking about was banging my head and enjoying some Slayer, right? Yeah. Anyway, first day of production. Okay. Paige has her day job at the hospital as a CNA, and she could not get this night shift off work. So she has to come in late, and we have to start without her. And we have to do shots that we were going to do in the nighttime in the early morning before the sun comes up over the mountains in Utah and starts creating the hard shadows. If everything is in soft shadow, we can fake that it's night. So you can do day for night there, and it'll turn out well. But as soon as the shadows become hard, because there's a big huge ball of light in the sky, as soon as that happens, we're not able to do that. So we took these were night scenes. We started out when the sky was dark, and we went until basically right before sunrise. And I think we were able to get all those scenes. And what those scenes were a bunch of driving shots. So our main character in our movie, he has to drive around, and he uses his 1990. I think it's like a 1990 Toyota Camry that I borrowed from my friend Drew, and which I'm driving right now, as you can hear all those freaking whistling noises coming out of the freaking... shut up! Okay. Borrowed Toyota Camry that he's driving around, and he's following people, and we find out later in the movie why he's following people. Anyway, we had to film those scenes first, and so all we were doing was like was a bunch of like driving reaction scenes. We had our guy playing a bit part named Arland. He was going out. The guy's name was. Oh man! Oh! Good lord! I just forgot the actor's name because I have not had sleep. Anyway, he's playing the character Arland. And Arlen's walking around, walking his dog, and he has like this certain pattern throughout the day. And our hero sees him for one whole day, and then a whole nother day. And we had to we were telling the story of this character's life through these little itty bitty scenes that we had to shoot all over Provo, and we have no permits for, and we got no permission to do. So our first shot of the day was him going into a grocery store and our hero watching him go into a grocery store. So we met at the grocery store in the middle of Provo, Utah, and we had our character, the lead character's name is Moses, played by Eric Wood. We had him watch the Arlen character go into the store. He's got to buy a pack of beer. We got root beer because you can't buy alcohol before 7 a.m. as our call time was, I think, 6. And so we got a pack of root beer, and then we started rolling again, and then you watched him go out of the store. So there's 3 shots right there that we got. And then we went over to my friend Caleb's townhome, and we filmed him like getting up in the morning. Remember, it's still supposed to be kind of dark. No, actually, he was going home at night, and it was supposed to still be dark, or almost dark. And so he goes into his home, greets his dog, goes to bed, and then Moses decides to drive off. So we got 2 shots there. And then we had to switch it up because now the sun was coming out. And so now we're going to get those shots that are supposed to be done in the morning, right? That at least they take place in the story in the morning time. So now we got to have Moses drive up to Caleb's townhome in a really long shot because it's going to be like our second shot of the movie, and we got to set the pace for the movie, and there's narration going on, and so there's got to be like a lot of scenes. It's almost a silent movie with like some interesting narration. I don't want to give too much away about the movie just because I don't want to. Anyway, so it's going, like, honestly, we have 2 pages of dialogue in the first 6 pages of the screenplay, which basically unheard of. It's just, almost no dialogue whatsoever in this movie, which I wrote it that way on purpose. And anyway, so all these shots were in the morning was like people walking dogs, people following in cars. One of our final car shots. Ooh, no, actually, let me go back. So we had to steal stuff at the Fresh Market. We got permission for Caleb's place, but not really the townhome. Like, we didn't get it from the HOA, so we kind of risked that by being in their parking lot and just shooting a movie in there. No one cared. And then the character Arlen works at a burger place, and Moses watches him throughout the day at the burger place. I played Arlen's boss, interestingly enough, named Joe. And Arlen comes in a little late to work. I yell at him. We're both, and he's putting on his apron, and we got to get to work. Now, we did not get permission to shoot at the burger place that we shot at. So that was the next thing we were going to do because we wanted to get in there before they started cooking because we knew the burger place opened at 11 a.m. The burger place is called Tommy Burger. It's great. I've been there like a million times. The owner would have probably said yes if we asked him, but we chose basically not to ask anybody on this movie. Anyway, he drives in. We do the scene from across the... they're shooting it from across the street because it's from Moses' point of view as being someone who's tailing someone in his car. I yell at the guy, and it was fine. We just did it in one take. My performance, I tell you, was probably like a C-, but it probably won't read that bad from that far away. Anyway, Then we had to get the reverse coverage of that. Now, that was the first one of a couple big hassles of the day. So, like, the first 3 hours of the day went pretty well. We borrowed my friend Timo's car. So Timo came in. I think he did shoot some behind-the-scenes stuff. I haven't looked at it yet, just haven't had time. And he brought his really old, beat-up car. And we had that be Arlen's car. And then Moses' old, beat-up car was, once again, Drew's car. And that was kind of fun to follow. So it was good having him there. And but after he kind of cleared out, we had to then do this car mount scene. And the car mount, because it blocks so much of the driver's vision, we're pretty sure it's not legal to just drive around. I think there's a reason why in Hollywood productions they have a... Sorry, I'm going to yell out here. They have a licensed... They must have some sort of licensed trailer kind of thing. Anyway, they pull the car behind them now, or they do it green screen. They used to do a rear projection. That was kind of fun to watch in old Hollywood movies. But we actually had our driver drive. We had Eric drive around in my friend's Toyota Camry, and we bought this car mount for like $200 on Amazon, and we put the camera on the car mount and had him drive through Provo. Now, knowing that this is probably not legal, I guess we don't know for sure whether or not it is. We were looking out for cops. So I was in the front car, and Parker, who owns the camera and who's the director of photography, was in the back car with the actor, just to make sure if the camera went haywire that Parker could go and try to do something about it. Because, car mount is kind of unpredictable. Anyway, we're going along, and I got my... Oh, no, Parker was in the car with me. I lied. I don't remember who's in the car with Eric. Maybe it was just Eric. I don't know. Anyway, we're going along, and I'm on cop alert. And the first thing that happens as soon as we turn a corner after hitting record, there's a cop going right around the corner. So we had to slow down, wait for him to kind of get about a block away, and then we started going. We're like, let's try to make it to Tommy Burger. We go down a little bit further, right in front of the elementary school, because I think that's when school was going to start. There were 2 more cop cars right down that street, and we were like, oh, crap. Okay, we got to make a right turn here. So we make a right turn, and then we run. We go down a little ways, then we make another left turn. We basically went around a block, and then we're about to get to the corner. We see another cop car, and we're like, "Oh crap!" And we're like, "Eric, pull over! Eric, pull over!" And so we make a turn, and then Eric does not immediately pull over as we were hoping that he would. He instead turns the corner with us and then pulls over. And then I, panicking, suspiciously get out of the car in order to, in my mind, pantomime, I guess, show the police officer that we were just really going around the corner and that this wasn't a big deal. Anyway, the police officer crosses the street, comes to our side, not the police officer, the police car, and then slows way down as we're standing outside the thing. And I talk to Eric and I go, okay, I'm pretending to talk to you right now, like we're supposed to be doing this. I don't know. And he's like, this looks really suspicious. This looks way more suspicious than just driving with the thing on. And by the way, he's totally right. That's what happens. Parker later said that the police officer looked him in the eye and then just decided to keep going. So luckily, we did not have a ticket. I did get verbally, Eric and I had an agreement that if anybody got a ticket while on the production, that I was supposed to pay for it. And I agreed to that. Hold on, I'm going to take a drink of soda. And And then we had to do our next big sequence. Moses kills a man. And we had to film that entire scene. And it's this really kind of big, dramatic moment in the movie. Kind of kicks off the movie in a way. And it was just a very kind of difficult scene to block. Before that, I guess we had lunch at Tommy Burger. I'm just trying to remember this step by step because I don't really want to forget anything. But yeah, we had lunch at Tommy Burger after we did like one shot in the park where we filmed this. It was the Provo River Trail, basically next to this park. Just off of Center Street in Provo and I-15. There's a beautiful park there. It's kind of big. But there's also this like wooded area next to the creek, and it's flattened out. Like there's a second trail next to the walking trail, and that's where we decided to have that take place. And we basically showed them both going into the woods and both walking through the woods, and then we went and had lunch at Tommy Burger where we stole the shots earlier. In my estimation, as a way of... Oh, excuse me, not estimation, compensation. It was a way of compensating for stealing shots earlier, not having permits, not having owner's permission to be on their property or whatever. So we all ate at Tommy Burger, and me not eating any carbs recently because I'm trying to see if blood sugar spikes are what's giving me migraines lately, which I haven't gotten a migraine since I stopped eating carbs, so there you go. Maybe. I'll give it a few more months to see if that's in fact true. No one finished their freaking fries, and Tommy Burger has the best fries on the planet. And I ate 2 of Paige's fries and then cried. But anyway, after that we had to do this big dramatic scene, and Paige had estimated an 8-hour day. I had thought it was going to be a 12-hour day. It ended up, I think, being... Oh, no, I think she estimated a 10-hour day, and it ended up being a 12-hour day. Which I had thought it was going to be a 12-hour day. I thought most of this week was going to be a 12-hour days. And, yeah, we had to do that big opening scene. The blocking wasn't really working. We had trouble with some of the lines going back and forth, and so just shooting the scene on our first angle, it just took a while. It took a while to get it where we were kind of happy with it. No, it's not anybody's fault in particular. It was just like a lot of things kind of coalescing. It just wasn't quite working. And then when we had to flip around, one of our actors had, a little bit of a stomach ache, and they decided they were going to go to the gas station, deal with that, and come back, when they felt a little better. So, we asked the other actor, hey, is that okay if we wait? Not that we really have a choice. And it was like, okay, yeah, we can do that. And so we wait, and then the actor comes in the middle of the actor going there, like suddenly it starts raining. We have to like cover up the camera, and then the rain goes away right as the other actor comes in, and we're like, oh goodness, we can do this. We start to get the reverse, and then we run out of camera battery. And luckily we got another. It was either battery or we filled up on the memory card. Didn't matter. We had enough to keep going with the day. We had backups. And so we were about to do that, and then we found out that we didn't have this the sound thing that we were doing, which I'll tell you about the sound in a second. The sound thing we were doing it did not have the, it ran out of batteries, and it had fresh batteries that morning. There were double A's, and we had no spares, even though I told Parker, who was kind of in charge of all the equipment, because most of the equipment's his, frankly, I told him, hey, make sure you get a big pack of batteries of whatever it needs, and he had just forgotten to do it. So he went off, and he went as fast as humanly possible. We don't even know how he did it so fast. He went off, bought a bunch of double A's, and came back, which was awesome. And then we were able to continue on with the scene, and And then we were going to have to do the actual shooting, like we got like a blood cannon thing. We're going to have to do that later, but we had to get the actor dead on the ground. And so then we had to decide how we were going to do that. And we took this entire bottle of fake blood and basically poured it on the ground, both in shot and a close-up on the actor, and then had the camera kind of away from the actor with a big pool of blood around his face, suggesting, of course, that's where he'd been shot. And that was really messy. Luckily, we had planned Case Lindbergh, our production designer, is kind of in charge of our props and costumes, as well as later on he has to build a set, which we still haven't got to yet, so that's going to be interesting. He had planned for that, so we had like these bad sweatpants, we had this terrible shirt, and we just put a bunch of blood all over everything, and I think it looked pretty good. And so we wrapped that guy. He was a great sport. His name was Robert. I feel so bad. He was the last guy we cast. We cast him like 2 days before the shoot actually happened. So I wasn't as familiar with him, to be fair. But his name was Robert. He was a great sport. We had a good time shooting with him. And then we had to do scenes where Eric was coming back to his car. The Moses character was coming back to his car. Some joggers were passing. Parker got, I think, his girlfriend's brother and his son. I think I might have the relation wrong there, but anyway, these two guys showed up. They were our joggers for a scene. We had 3 more shots with Eric, and then after 12 hours and 30 minutes of shooting, we had finished day 1. Now, there's some details about that I want to explain, and some lessons that I think I have learned from day 1. First off, scheduling multiple locations. I think every time you go into a new location, even if it's in the same town, it just adds so much time because everybody kind of has to move their stuff and go. And I would never, ever schedule 4 locations in the same day ever again. We had to do, the Arland at his job, or at the burger place scene, and we had to do him in the morning at his house, we had to do him in the evening at his house, and we had to do him at the grocery store, and then we had to have the big dramatic scene with him and Moses in the woods, and we had to have wet makeup effects, everything like that, and it was a lot. And we knew as we were planning on this thing that we had shots that I had storyboarded, and in my mind, I have storyboarded the minimal amount of things we need to capture. It's not so much the framing or the exact movement of it, but it's me knowing exactly what in the scene I need to capture to kind of get emotionally the scene across in like the least amount of shots. That's the plan anyway. We knew the amount of things we had to capture in order to tell the story, and we had basically every single scene has certain shots that have actors in them and that need actors in them, and then certain shots that don't necessarily need actors in them. And we ended up having to put off every single shot that did not necessarily need actors in them, which I believe was like 8 shots for day 1. Day 2, which I'm technically still awake for, we did the same thing. There are just shots that we did not get. And we got a running document. Might just be in Facebook Messenger. I hope someone has made a Google Drive document out of it. We have a running document that I like to call Shit We Forget. And at the end of the day, when you go, oh crap, we didn't get the coverage on this, that's the shit we forget. We forgot a couple things that first day. But otherwise, it was pretty good. Now, today was a way easier day in many ways and harder in like one way. And so today we started out with another following scene of another person, but it was a much closer quarters at the beginning, and so we were able to get through those scenes pretty quickly. We did use the car mount again, and this time the car mount, when I wanted a slightly different change of perspective, just because I wanted to show a different time of day and I wanted to feel like time had passed a little bit, we switched out the lens, and then the lens wasn't quite right, so we went back to the old lens, and then when we did that, the photo foil, or the cinefoil that we had over the top of the camera box to the top of the windshield, it had shifted around and then wasn't working anymore, and we had to rebuild that, and then things got loosened up, and then the camera almost fell off the car when we tried it in one take. It was awful. Anyway, that was all just hectic. The car mount stuff was awful, and Paige still had basically no sleep, and she was just sitting in the car sleeping. The other thing that we are doing to save on time now, which we'll hate ourselves in the edit for later, is that we are not slating and we are not capturing sound unless there is a dialogue scene. This is probably unwise. Certainly didn't do this during Emmanuel's song, but because we are shooting a movie that should probably take a month to shoot, and we're shooting it with principal photography taking 14 days, it's what we can do right now. So we're going to hate ourselves later for it, and the entire thing is going to have to be follied. Most movies are like that anyway. Basically, the whole thing is follied with maybe some natural sound on set mixed in. But that natural sound has to be like separated, taken away when you're doing foreign language tracks anyway. So I don't feel terrible about it, but it is a way that we're saving things. So Paige, who's the second or third or fourth job, is holding the boom pole for sound, because we all went to film school. We were all trained in all this equipment, right? So when we couldn't find a sound guy at an affordable rate, we decided to just let Paige do it. I say let Paige. We told Paige she had to do it. That was kind of our compromise. That okay, we're just going to get sound when we have dialogue, and that's it. That's what has to happen. She decided. I didn't say decided. I told her to go take a nap. She took a nice nap in her car while we were getting that coverage. Travis, who was playing our character Thomas, he wasn't really needed for a while because we decided to get all the coverage on Moses first and then do the coverage of Thomas later. And just like Arland, he kind of sees Thomas throughout the day. Now, one of the things that Thomas, the character, has is a delivery route that takes him up to Evanston, Wyoming. And so there's a scene or a sequence in this movie where Moses is following this guy all the way to Wyoming and decides that, that's too far and he has to turn around. We actually had to go get that footage. And we couldn't, in my mind, I was kind of trying to figure this out through the first half of the day. I was like, okay, we can't make Eric drive to Wyoming like 4 times. Like, he can't just drive there and back 4 times so that we can get the coverage on the road and the vehicle that he's following, and then also himself. I had Parker basically improvise his point of view shot, so whatever Moses sees, and then Moses himself from the passenger side of the car. Now, I didn't think that there was going to be enough room for a third person in there. We found out that there probably was. I guess we'll find out in the edit if someone's foot is sticking out or something. But there was some communication problems happening with that plan because he has to follow character. So I was in the front I wasn't by the camera. I was in the front car telling Travis/Thomas where to go and what to deliver, basically, and when to do it. And then the other guys were supposed to stop, and then they were going to get Moses' coverage as well. And then we would move on, go to like the next town and do the same thing over again, and we were going to do it 6 times. That was the plan, do it 6 times. And so we started doing that, and like by the 3rd time, like things were getting a little messy. Like they weren't quite. Eric and Parker were, I don't know what they were doing, but they seemed to have been getting distracted, and they missed an exit completely. They called us and were like, "Oh, we missed your exit. We're going to be at the next exit. We got to meet you guys." And Paige, who had wanted to go in their car, probably because being in my car was boring, for one reason. The other reason being that we could have maybe some better communication. I don't know what her side of the story is. Anyway, she was not happy with me telling her that she couldn't be in there because she was too wide, just as I thought I was, too wide to be in that back seat and not be able to get in the shot. And then after they missed that exit, I said, "You know what, Paige? Go with them. You're right. Just go, and I'll be on the phone with you, and you tell them what to do, and you have them pay attention to following us on this trip to Wyoming and back." And so she did that, and it turned out really well. We got to our 6th stop, or we were about to get to our 6th stop, and I kind of had this epiphany on how to do this day better. Oh, another thing, we had lunch at a all-you-can-eat Chinese food buffet that Case had recommended in Murray. It's like Paradise Buffet or something like that. Anyway, it was really good. But we had basically 3 hours left before the 8-hour day, as was planned, was up. And so Paige wanted to get everybody home by that time. And so I had an epiphany, because it was totally going to be like 4:30. I had an epiphany, hey, we can get coverage on Eric, and then me and Parker by ourselves, just me and the director of photography, can go and get the remaining shots. So we had Eric pretend to see the Wyoming sign and then pull off out of the road. And then I driving and Parker covering his point of view. I went up and drove to Wyoming with him, and we went to the border sign. We captured the border sign, and then we captured me making an illegal U-turn onto the other side of the freeway. And so we believe that'll cut together great. We got some cool landscape shots. But anyway, we just basically filmed an entire huge montage today. And, you know, it worked out pretty well. I did get super car sick in the first car, and that was honestly probably my biggest motivator for letting everybody else go home. And I don't know how I feel about all that, but no dialogue scenes today whatsoever. And so that was kind of a saving grace for us being able to actually end day 2 on time. Once again, ton of insert shots that we were not able to get. Anyway, it is now 1:38 a.m. I'm staying in Payson, Utah right now. The place that we're shooting in is Murray, Utah. It takes 52 minutes to drive from Payson, Utah to Murray, Utah. And call time is at 5 o'clock in the morning, which means that I would have to leave at, things would happen. So I would probably have to leave at 4 o'clock in the morning. And in order to kind of be a decent human being, I'd need to take a shower and get dressed and put on deodorant, brush my teeth and all that. And when I haven't had much sleep, like I was planning on not having, because, you know, it's super early in the morning to get up and then have to go drive, my earliest time was going to be 3:30. But I don't know what it was, if it was the Chinese food, if it was just anxiety that I've been having about the shoot. I don't know what it is, but in any case, I could not sleep. I could not sleep a bit. And when it rolled around to about 12:30, that's when I decided, it was time to realize that I'm probably not going to sleep very much tonight. So it's raining right now. I put on a jacket. I stole a jacket from my sister, whose house is in Payson that I'm staying with. And I'm just going to go drive to the place that we're going to have the call time at. And I'm going to go see if I can take a nap. Anyways, guys, there's been a lot of great stuff these few days. Eric, Paige, Parker, Case, and they're all very fun to hang out with and work with. And the other actors who have come and helped out have been just really great sports, despite this being like a cash-only kind of stealing shots everywhere kind of an operation. It's been nice being with these people all day. However, I think I might now have Paige beat on the amount of hours I have not slept on this production. And I'm hoping that by pulling basically an all-nighter, hopefully getting a nap, I'm hoping that I can have the motivation to make today's shoot. I want to get out early, and I want to take 2 Tylenol PM, and I want to knock myself out and get like 13 hours of sleep before the next day, so that I can kind of be reset and ready to go. I am going to tell you, okay, here's a few lessons I learned. Fake blood sucks, and I totally have 2 more days of doing that, including today. So give yourself a lot of time when you're doing stuff like that. Technical things without actors speaking in them, those are actually easier. So far, those have been easier than the regular dialogue scenes, which is what I'm used to doing. But yeah, just watching a car or watching someone walk, or having someone do a certain movement, you kind of just have to just do the movement. I mean, that's it. They just have to do it once. Dialogue is where all the kind of character work comes out. And real people, they don't think about all their movements all the time. So the fact that all the actors trying to think about is nailing a certain movement, driving to a certain spot at a certain time, kind of just doing that. I think it might just be. I think it's easier to do, so I don't mind the fact that I did kind of a silent script so far. Also, whoever said do all the hard stuff first is a terrible person, because I know for a fact the next 3 days of shooting are going to be brutal, and then let's see what's after that. I think, yeah, so there's that. What's another lesson that I learned? Don't schedule night scenes, day scenes on the same day. And just bite the bullet and do it 2 different days. And do it actually at night, not at butt crack of dawn in the morning, so that you might be able to catch some sleep. And also, you know what? It's okay to take a Tylenol PM every once in a while, and don't have caffeine past a certain time. I think maybe I just had a soda too late in the day. And despite only having 8 hours of sleep, and despite feeling very tired, I am not able to go to sleep. So, I don't know. Maybe it'll change here soon, but that has been the case so far. Anyways, guys, I'm going to go ahead and driving into Salt Lake now, and probably like 10 minutes away from my destination. So I'm going to work on that, and you guys work on having a good time and remembering to learn from my mistakes. See you later.